Item number 8, presentation, Great Lakes Water Authority, Shelby Township Main Relocation Project Overview Grant. Would you like to? Yes. Well, receive and file on this one, but support made by Brown. Would anyone like to support this? Commissioner Kleinfeld supports. We can usually do this before or after, but carry on.
No problem. Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Grant Gartrell with Great Lakes Water Authority, Director of Engineering for Water Supply Operations. And I'll be talking today about a project that we are just launching in planning phase. So the objectives of the project, this is a 96-inch diameter water transmission main. It provides drinking water to northern Oakland and Macomb counties from our Lake Huron water treatment plant. And a portion of it goes through what's called a former or closed G&H industrial landfill site. And the project is involved with it relocating outside the limits of that landfill. Other objectives of the job are to remove a portion of that main from beneath the Detroit Congressman's Sports Club, a shooting range, and then improve reliability and redundancy along a segment of that main between Romeo and what we call our North Service Center, which is at basically M59 and DeQuinder Road. This is a vicinity map, and to your left is north. Okay, so to the far, so on the far left, upper right-hand side of the page, you'll see Romeo. That's roughly 32-mile road. Then going to the south, to the right of the page, down to where you see that green rectangle. That's the closed G&H industrial landfill, where a segment of our main goes through that landfill, and then continuing south to your right, down to our North Service Center, indicated by that circle. That's the general project vicinity, and in order to relocate this main outside of that green rectangle, which is that closed landfill, we're going to be installing some new inline valves that are indicated in the red, far north at Romeo, kind of in the middle on 26 Mile Road, a new gate valve in the center of the page, and then another one at what we call our Rochester station, which is at 24 Mile Road between DeQuinder and Ryan, and then to the south at North Service Center, we'll have another valve. It's just, there's the general geography for you. So where we're at, like I said, we're planning the project right now. Our principal focus at this point is where exactly to relocate the pipe outside the landfill. There's a number of options, and we're focusing on those right now. And then related to that is, in order not to disrupt water service to the customer base, we'll have to figure out actually how you tie into the existing main while maintaining service, and that's what we call our implementation strategies. And so that's number 2 on this slide, we'll be evaluating that next in detail. Right now we're focusing on the actual route for the new relocated main. So for the relocation around the closed G&H industrial landfill, we looked at 20 different segments, and we combined those into 9, we call them holistic alternatives for an actual route, and we narrowed that down to 3, our top 3 routes that we're evaluating in detail. We're conducting these evaluations in close concert with our customers, and we're also coordinating with utilities through SEMCOG. But here's a close-up shot of the area. You can see the G&H industrial landfill, surrounded by the green line. The dashed line is running the north-south direction. Again, north is to the left side of the page, is the existing 96-inch transmission main. So you can see it basically goes through the landfill in its western edge or side, and then continuing south and connecting in at Hamlin Road in DeQuinder. And we also, you'll see another dashed line which runs east-west, or up and down on your page. That's just indicating the OMID interceptor sewer. We'll have to contend with that on the project. And then all the letters A through T are basically the 20 different segments that we looked at, the pros and cons of each, in order to basically develop the route alternatives. So what this slide indicates in the red is one of our alternatives that we narrowed it down to. as a promising alternative, basically, running down 24-mile road is segment A, and then to C through down to T is all DeQuinda Road. That's a route. And then another route that we like is, very closely related to the first, with the exception of staying away from 24-mile road. Basically going down segment B, which is the Macomb Orchard Trail, and then tying back in at C or into DeQuinda Road, and then moving south towards Hamlin Road. And then our third contending alternative is basically what you see in I. It's kind of a dash. You see some black dots there with the blue line. That's the existing 96-inch main, and we would end up slip lining that with new pipe inside of it, and then installing new main where you see IKMPQST going through that wooded area beneath the Clinton River around M, and then tying into our existing, or then running new main down ST, and then connecting into our existing main at Hamlin and DeQuinda Road. So mentioned earlier, right now we're evaluating our strategy to connect to, next big step is evaluating our strategy to connect to the existing main while maintaining service. We're working again with our customers and DPW directors and the different people responsible for their water systems in each city in these areas to work on the route, not only the route, but the implementation strategy. And ongoing efforts, we're working with SEMCOG also. They're helping us reach out to other utilities, DTE, consumers, AT&T, road commissions, both Oakland County and Macomb County side, going down to DeQuinda Road, and working with other entities like the Trail Commission along the Macomb Orchard Trail to basically try to find out if there's other infrastructure projects that may be going on at the same time that we would conduct this work, so that we could, basically collaborate with other utilities to try to, kill multiple birds with one stone. And then we have a workshop. We met with utilities a couple weeks ago, other utilities, and had those discussions. Those are ongoing. And then we have a workshop with our customers beginning of November to talk more about this route, what we're going to actually pick, and then discuss further implementation strategies. That's the end of the presentation.
Great. I have a few commissioners on the list, but I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Thank you, Grant. You kind of answered my first one. I was asking the Jim Carabelli question, but him and Rob Mijak are at a SEMCOG event today, so they couldn't be here. But
Okay.
The simultaneous project thing, I know that we've been trying to stress that, it drives everybody nuts when you see someone get torn up, put back together, and 2 years later it gets torn up for something completely different in the same area. So how's that going with you, finding out any other projects similarly situated along any of these routes?
We're having the discussions. I can tell you nothing specific has come up yet.
Good. Well,
But we had a very productive meeting with, we had Oakland County Road there, Macomb County planning for roads. Roads is a big deal. We had AT&T there. They have a major fiber optic line that actually goes down the Macomb Orchard Trail. So we had good discussion there. But nothing has come up yet where it was concretely said, yes, we're going to do a project at the same time, or what I'm really concerned about is somebody have a project that's going to be just maybe 6 months or a year after ours. Well, we'd want to see if we would shift ours back, or they move theirs forward.
Sure.
So still looking for those opportunities if they exist.
Okay, and then I noticed your third alternative with the slip lining and the going through the woods seemed to be a lot shorter route for the pipe. Is that a cost savings on that? Is that something you guys are looking at besides, or is there more work because you're coming through the woods and that kind of makes up for it, or is that all the different?
Yeah, excellent question. So this ends up on a cost basis. These three alternatives, and even when you looked at the other segments, they're all definitely in the same ballpark. There's not a lot of variance there. The slip lining is not cheap. It's very expensive. And then the work down through the wooded area there, there's a conservation easement, you know, there's wetlands to contend with, the construction, the watering and tunneling would be more complicated back there. So, although you avoid road work there, there's some other things that then also drive up costs. So, on the balance, as far as cost is concerned, they're kind of equal. One of the disadvantages that we see on this one is the timeline to actually implement this. So if you know, our goal is to execute this job as quickly as possible because we want to get the pipe out of landfill. So what we're afraid of with this alternative is wetlands permitting issues, other issues that could slow us down from an environmental standpoint. So that's one thing. The other thing is, as far as operation and maintenance is concerned of our pipe,
Right.
now we have small valves, we call them blow-off valves. We have air release valves on these mains that we have to maintain and check. And when they're in backwooded areas like this and in people's backyards, that segment just north of I runs through basically backyards. So when we have to get to it, it's just very cumbersome.
Got it.
And so it's easier for us to get it out into the right of way from that standpoint.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
No problem.
So we have Commissioner Drolet first on the list, so here you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I may have missed this, but I'm not sure exactly why they has to be relocated. It goes through a landfill, but it appears to have been going through a landfill for I don't know how long. Is the pipe deteriorating? Is there some health reason why it has to be changed now?
Good question. You're right. It's been there a long time. This pipe has been there roughly since 1967 is about when it was placed into service. It does go through a landfill. There have been no problems. It doesn't place any immediate threat to public health, but it's just not. It's not what we do. It's not best practice to have a finished water main in a landfill. We've been assured by EPA and others that it's okay, but you know the pipe isn't getting younger. So you know this pipe now is 50 years old. Depending on who you talk to, it could be have another 10 years life on it or another 50 years life. In either case, it's going to expire at some time, and you're going to have to get it out of there. And I don't want it to break or have a leak when it's in the landfill. So it's pressurized now, and that's what makes it very safe.
So it's more precautionary then?
Very precautionary, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
The other thing that, and Bill Wolfson, Chief Administrative and Compliance Officer, is you think about a main typically has a 66-year lifespan. You use that for planning, so we're a little ahead, but we also think that we can get more benefit to our customers with a greater ability to isolate problems should they occur.
A quick follow-up, if I may. If that pipe has been there since the 60s and hasn't presented a problem, is it a some sort of a cost savings with very, very little to no risk if you just replace the pipe that goes through a landfill with a new pipe that goes through a landfill?
You mean you said keep it there?
No, rip it out and put a new one in exactly where that one was. Now you got 60 more years of pipe without having to get all the right away.
We can't. The implementation to keep the main. So the problem is one of the challenges with this project is if you go back to that vicinity map, is we don't have a lot of isolate. Right now we have 2 isolation valves on this main. So one's in Romeo and the other one is at the North Service Center. So in order to just take this pipe out of service, we can't do that. We have to do it in a way. We have to basically install another main around it and tie it in at a location where we can continue service to people. We just can't take this out of service to water it. I mean, Washington Township, Shelby Township would be without water.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Drolet. Next on the list is Commissioner Duche.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Interesting. Where's the Detroit Sportsman's Gun Club? Because you mentioned it here, but it's not shown on any of this.
It's over here.
It's over where?
On
Okay.
Quinder, north of Auburn Road.
Wish I had a pointer. It's south. It's south of the G&H landfill. See where it says south tie-in point at Hamlin to Quinder Road, that rectangle?
Yeah,
And then the text where it says existing OMID 96 sewer interceptor.
right?
It's in that area.
Okay,
It's just south of there where that dashed line is.
all right. I don't know why you'd want to go, why you need to go around there, but okay. Yeah, too much lead. What depth are you going to with this main?
Yeah, these mains are typically 10 feet deep.
You got to the top of the 96
Yeah,
inch?
yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And last but not least, what kind of pressures are you talking about in this?
This reach or main usually sees around 100 psi, 90 to 100.
That's pretty serious. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Dujay. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Grant. Nice presentation. As you know, we had this problem over here with the sinkhole in Fraser. And what they had done was on the existing pipe, they had sleeved it, put in a sleeve. Now, why can't that be done with the same pipe we have now at a tremendous cost saving in lieu of making all these going in around and just sticking a sleeve in there that would probably last another whatever time that the consultant said?
Yeah, that's our third option, top option, where we would sleeve a portion of this reach. And like it's not as cheap as you think. It's expensive to slip line these pipes. This
So-
size. It's not inexpensive.
There's no interruption of service when you're sleeving it, am I correct?
There's yeah, well, we have to, there's a sister project to this, which involves other infrastructure, other pipeline, other valving, in order to take this segment out of service.
Have you done a
Okay.
comparison study of what would be cheaper to do, sleeve or do the new piping on that same point? So this new alternative routes are going to completely bypass the landfill, is that correct?
Yes.
So what is the normal length of the longest pipe that you use without having break points where you connect them together so that if there was a leakage, that's where it may happen?
If it's steel pipe, 20 feet.
20
And
feet?
if it's our PCC pipe, our pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipe, it's around 10 feet.
10
But
feet.
20 feet would be a nominal length, and we'd probably be looking at something like steel on this.
I think it'd be very interesting to see what it would cost adverse to doing a sleeve to the actual piping itself and going around all this place here that you're talking about. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Rand.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sauger.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what's the distance of this 96-inch pipe from where it starts to where it ends?
It goes from the DeQuinder and M59.
It starts there,
That's where it starts, and it goes north to Imlay City.
Imlay City?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's it? Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other commissioners on the list. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your presentation. Commissioners, we already have a motion to receive and file, so please vote.